China, the world's second biggest economy, is somehow still classified as a developing nation. What the fuck? So let's dive into the loophole that's letting China play the global trade game on easy mode. What's the WTO anyway? Think of the World Trade Organization as a global referee for international trade. It makes sure trade between countries is fair, predictable, and doesn't break down into chaos. Developed countries like the US, Germany, and Japan have mature, powerful economies. Developing countries like Kenya, Bangladesh have less money and fewer industries. The WTO gives developing countries special advantages to help them catch up economically. Developing nations get major perks. They can put high tariffs on imports to protect young industries. They get extra years to meet strict WTO rules. They're allowed more subsidies to help local businesses compete globally. They have lighter reporting and transparency requirements. When China joined the WTO in 2001, it was clearly a developing country. Fast forward to today, it's the world's second largest economy, 18 trillion GDP. China dominates manufacturing and exports, everything from electronics to cars. Massive global investments like the Belt and Road Initiative, where they go into other countries and build shit for them, wealth and influence far beyond genuine developing nations. So they're really not meeting this developing nation thing. Now, well, how did China benefit? Tariffs shield Chinese giants like Huawei and Geely, I think it's Geely, from international competitors. Huge state subsidies allow Chinese firms to undercut global prices. Lower transparency lets China support industries without strict oversight. Weaker environmental and labor regulations reduce costs, giving Chinese exports an unfair advantage. Smaller developing nations lose out because they can't compete against China's unfair advantages. The US and the EU, I can't say that, are pushing hard for the WTO to reform to redefine developing status. There's a growing frustration that China's advantages undermine global trust and trade. Now, China does argue that it still deserves the status because 600 million people still live on less than $150 a month, mostly in rural areas. The GDP per capita remains significantly lower than truly developed nations, and China still depends heavily on foreign technology like semiconductors. So what we could do is introduce clear benchmarks like GDP per capita, global trade volume, and economic influence to determine status. Establish multiple categories like least developed, emerging, advanced for better accuracy. Regularly reevaluate every country's status to reflect current economic realities. And we can actually offer incentives for countries like China to voluntarily move up and compete fairly. So should China step up and compete on an equal footing, or is it just smartly using the rules to its advantage? Comment, tell me what you think. If I'm an idiot, if I totally got it wrong, let me know.